Welcome to yet another exciting edition that is of EconoChat. Let's talk business with Daniel Steinmann. He is the Economist editor as well as an economic analyst. And of course, today we'll be talking about something that you might be familiar with. But if you're not, don't worry, we got you covered. I'm talking about the United Nations Climate Change Conference. And that is, of course, taking place in Europe. Otherwise, it's known as COP26. All right, you don't have to worry about that because we are definitely going to be breaking it down for you here on today's episode. How are you doing today?
I'm doing
good to see you. You're always welcome here.
Yeah, same here. It's nice to be back.
All right, awesome stuff. Let's get right into it. COP26. For somebody that's not familiar with that, what is that? What happens there?
It's like a big meeting.
Yeah.
COP26, the name stands for Conference of the Parties.
Yeah.
And it's the 26th.
Yeah.
6th.
Yeah. 26th
of the parties.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's a United Nations organ.
Yeah.
It means that it falls under the auspices of the United Nations, and it's organized by a UN agency.
Yeah.
So that's why there are 26 of them. It's like a global meeting between all the countries of the world and between world leaders, and typically with something like many of these COP conferences, you will not get the president of the country to go, but rather the experts in a country that will attend this. But not COP26. And the reason why it is so important that it was attended mostly by heads of state and by presidents is because this debate has been coming for 30 years.
Yeah.
It's not a new debate. It started in 1994 with the meeting in Rio de Janeiro, and where we got the Rio Accord from, which was the baby steps in the beginning at a time when I would say most people did not really take the concept of global warming seriously. Now, if you can remember that far back, Nashawn, you will remember there was this big debate about the hole in the ozone layer.
Yes.
Can you remember that?
I remember that. I actually do.
You saw the nicest visuals on TV of there's the hole and it's moving and it's shifting, and it was presented in all different ways, almost like you would conduct a natural science class at school. You know, and I wouldn't say that it turned out to be nonsense.
Yeah.
But what happened in the whole scientific debate is that you definitely had two camps.
Okay.
The scientific community worldwide was not united on the existence and the effect and the impact of a hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah.
And then as more and more research became available, we started learning that the ozone layer is almost a natural part of the atmosphere.
Yes.
And that it's always been there over the South Pole and the North Pole, and that it is not its presence or its existence that matters, but its size. Because there's something on the electromagnetic level happening there that causes the ozone layer that to this day we're not 100% sure what it is. So we can see the effect of it, but we can't really explain it. So that is around about 1994. That is sort of the groundwork, the basis of the debate that followed. And this, about 11 years later, was followed by the meeting in Cancun, which is in Mexico. And every time you had this nice narrative put out afterwards, almost like a resolution by a board of directors meeting in a company, you know, which is a lot of hot air, but nothing happened. And in the meantime, the scientific community, much more united on this issue now, forgot about the ozone layer. At that point, now we're 12, 13, 14 years into the whole thing. At that point, nobody can ignore it any longer. You have to start taking it seriously. And there's much more convergence in the scientific view. In other words, you don't have this split into two opposing camps in the scientific community. There wasn't really agreement on how everything happened, how it came about, but on the symptoms. The fact that the activity of mankind was causing a disturbance in the ecological balance that was no longer in dispute.
Right.
And then you started getting these more detailed sort of contributions to the debate from various countries.
Yeah.
And you can remember that the United States, for instance, did not initially supported it. And the reason was very obvious: oil and coal. The two culprits that causes most of the global warming through the pollution of air, that whole hothouse effect that that we're also familiar with.
Yeah.
But that we cannot go without. So it's very easy. It's like an armchair philosophy, you know. From your ivory tower, you say, it's coal, it's oil.
Yeah.
So what? What are you going to do to replace it? And now we move ahead and we come to COP26.
Yeah.
And as I said in the beginning, we are 30 years down the line. This whole debate, this I almost want to call it not a narrative, a paradigm. This paradigm has developed a life of its own over 3 decades. And it's assumed a jargon of its own. It has become sort of, there's a way that you talk about climate change.
Yes.
It's not just a weirdo journal that is writing a story about it and is trying to impress his readers. It is now fact.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in the last 7-8 years in the very big divergence in natural events. When it floods, it really floods.
Yes.
When it's dry, it's a real big drought, like we had in 2019. Not just a normal dry year, you know. So everything started happening in the extreme, to the extent that even the so-called naysayers could no longer say climate change is nonsense. And there's still a debate about how many degrees up or how many degrees down, or is the sea levels, are they rising and are they subsiding? But these are all debates on the effects, the regional and the immediate effects. These are not debates on the phenomenon, as it affects the entire Earth. The whole globe is affected by it. And this is why COP26 may sound like another one of these many meetings where it's just a lot of nice words, fluff afterwards, but very little is happening. And that is not the case. For us in Africa, it's important. You know, Nashawn, we contribute about 2% to energy consumption worldwide. So it means that if you make this very simple, the fact that we use 2% of the world's energy means that we contribute 2% to the world's heating.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty interesting. Just for the sake of the listener, we are of course talking to Daniel Steinmann. He is the editor of the Economist newspaper. He's also generally an economic analyst. And basically, this is EconoChat. Let's talk business with Daniel Steinmann. It is week 7, and of course, if you missed out on any of the other episodes that we've had before, you can always check them out on our Energy 100 FM YouTube channel, which is Energy 100 FM Namibia, and of course also on the official website of the Economist publication. That is www.theeconomist.com.na.
That's right.
All right, there we go. Definitely had to make sure that I got that one right. All right, we'll be definitely be getting back on the other side of the break to expand more on COP26. That is, of course, in terms of the African perspective. I hope you actually noted that down. We contribute only 2% to the heat in the world. We'll be right back.